Hey everybody, I'm Gabe.
And I'm Meno, and today we're reviewing The Last of Us episodes 1 and 2.
So for anyone who doesn't know, The Last of Us is an HBO adaptation of a very popular video game from 2013, The Last of Us. It tells the story of two survivors, Joel and Ellie, as they try to make their way through what could be the end of the world. So, Meno, this game has meant a lot to both of us. I think you were probably 11 or 10 when it came out. I was 10. I probably shouldn't have played it as early as I did. But before we dive into the show itself, what did this game mean to you?
Yeah, this franchise, Last of Us, it means a lot to me. I think I got the game in Christmas of 6th grade. So
Okay.
yeah, I was probably around 11 or 12, and I think since then it's probably like the best campaign I've ever played. I love the story, and I feel like it gives a twist to the zombie genre just because the way the virus spreads and it infects just fungi, it feels more realistic than just your normal breakout. And so yeah, when I heard there was a live adapted version coming of it, I was a bit worried because a lot of my bad. A lot of video game adaptations are not the best, especially the live action ones. But I thought these first two episodes, they really did a good job of holding to the integrity of the franchise,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I'm excited for more. Yeah, what about you?
Yeah, so I remember the first time I played this game, I was in the hospital for something, and they had like a PlayStation in there, and I was like, man, this is pretty great. So I went home and bought it first thing with, the little bit of allowance you get when you're like a 5th grader, and I was just fully blown away. You've never played a game, that's as violent. It's got some like really meaningful themes to it, and I was just fully sucked in, and ever since then, the first game has definitely been in my top 10 favorite video games of all time. I'm not going to make any comments on part 2. But this show is slowly really getting into there in my list of favorite shows, and kind of that stems from, let's just start with our actors. You got Pedro Pascal as Joel. What did you think? How do you think he did in this role?
I think Pedro Pascal is amazing. He has so much range, and he really just characterizes the character of Joel being this rough, intimidating, rough around the edges sort of smuggler. And they say in the show himself, we're not good people, and he's not a good person. He's just in a chaotic post-apocalyptic world, and he's just trying to survive. But he does have these moments of vulnerability that he's really able to show off emotion and range as an actor. So I love him. I think he was a perfect casting choice, and he really shows off just everything that when you play the game you thought Joel was as a character. What about you?
Yeah, I need to start giving Pedro Pascal more credit, because I always forget just how much range this man has as an actor. We saw him in The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent last year as like Nick Cage's, goofy buddy, and then we see him in The Mandalorian as this like super serious, kind of almost playing that same role he is in this, where it's like this father figure who just wants to keep, his ward safe. And you're watching this show, and Pedro Pascal does a really good job of playing a man who's been worn down by time. He's 51 years. I think it's been about 13 years since the cordyceps virus broke out for him. He's lost a lot of people that he's loved, and he's really he's tired, but like he wants to do this job, get Ellie to the hospital, and it's really wonderful. But speaking of Ellie, she's played by Bella Ramsey, a relative newcomer. I hadn't seen her anything before this. What did you think of how she did as Ellie, who's kind of the emotional anchor of this franchise?
I thought she did amazing. I know there was like a bit of controversy when she was first casted because a lot of people who played the game were upset that she wasn't like a perfect one-to-one clone of Ellie in the video game, but I didn't really care for that. I thought she played the role of Ellie perfectly. She's like charismatic. She has like a very funny, strange sense of humor, especially for a time where no one really has time to have a sense of humor. And a lot of it, she's just this kid navigating around this post-apocalyptic world, and a lot of these dangers are foreign to her. You know what I mean? She's just been doing her best to survive, and I think it's interesting. We're going to see the dynamic of her character and Pedro Pascal's character develop more, because initially she's essentially just cargo for him, right, to move because he wants to be reunited with his brother Tommy, and he just thinks he's leaving her as a form of cargo to get a car battery and to reunite with his brother. But you see how the relationship in the beginning is more standoffish and kind of distant, and
for sure.
they have like a playful banter, sarcastic, thing going on. But I thought she was really, really good, and I think she really, played Ellie amazing.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, Ellie as a character, because she's kind of almost treated like the messiah of the human race, especially in episode 2 with some of the developments we learned that we won't spoil because it just came out this Sunday. There's a lot of weight on this little kid's shoulder, and she doesn't get the opportunity to be a child. But it's really cool that Bella Ramsey still plays her with that childlike wonder. Like you said, kind of that sense of humor that you're like, yo, if I was in this situation, definitely wouldn't be me. But she does a really, really good job of walking that line very finely, and I was really blown away by her performance. I can't wait to see her in more things. And one of the reasons these two really shine is just the material they're working with. They got Neil Druckmann, writer of the games, to write this, and so the dialogue. There's a couple scenes that are just one for one straight from the game. There's that part's kind of gone viral on social media when Joel is resting on the couch and he's like, "I don't care what you do, I'm trying to nap," and they literally one for one dialogue, and I loved it. Clicked with me immediately, made me super happy. What about you? What do you think of the writing of this?
I loved how they stayed like very faithful to the games. Like you said, some of the cinematography, it's like literally shot for shot where, they're in the car and they're navigating through like, I guess the first like instance of the outbreak to points where like you show this like abandoned, rustful like city enveloped by like greenery and fungus, and some of it's great. They they have throwbacks from some of the lines for people who played the video games, like one-for-one interaction like that. And I think the writing is brilliant. I think the cinematography is brilliant. I think the production design, they really paid attention to making the aesthetic similar to the game, to where if you played the game, you're like, oh, I remember this, sense of nostalgia. But also if you're new to the series, you're like, wow, this is a beautiful world. I'm like, motivated to discover more and learn more, and interested to see the rest of the episodes. So
no, for sure. When you just speaking about production design, a zombie show doesn't work unless your zombies are well designed. Our clickers are 100% practical, which I love because a lot of times you get these blockbuster things and it's a CGI fest. I'm not calling out Marvel, but I'm calling out Marvel. And they get really just strange. Like you can tell there's something not quite right. These clickers, these monsters, are so beautifully designed. With how the cordyceps virus is spread, it's actually spread through flour, which is a cool reveal that we never got in the game. It's kind of always been hinted at. These creatures have like floral designs to them. And, it's funny, the actors were talking, like, backstage. They were saying, like, these clickers are somehow both, like, devoutly beautiful and also just, like, thoroughly terrifying. And so it's really, it makes it stand out from, like, The Walking Dead or Night of the Living Dead, anything like that, because you're kind of mesmerized by these creatures. What about you? What do you think about that design aspect?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like, it is odd to say that, like, a post-apocalyptic world like this is beautiful, but, like you said, the world design, the clickers, like, they're nasty, but you gotta like just appreciate all the design and like the influence that went into it from the game. Even like theme song, I think it's also appropriately named The Last of Us. It's like it really just does a good job of outlaying this post-apocalyptic world, but like almost in a calming or soothing way. And it's just, I think this world's amazing. And they really do a good job also of like putting these clickers and the different hordes of zombies in really claustrophobic areas. Like, we don't have to spill too much, but there's like scenes in like hotels and museums while they're flooded and they're just claustrophobic, and clickers not being able to see but being able to hear, and you have the characters trying to do their best to stay silent, not get caught, and it's a really good,
definitely creepy,
claustrophobic, beautiful atmosphere.
Creepy but beautiful. And with that, what are you going to give The Last of Us on a scale from 1 to 10? The fans need to know. Episodes 1 and 2, that is.
Yeah, I thought the first 2 episodes hit it out the park. Like, I honestly didn't think there's much better that they could do. Like, there's some things maybe here and there I would have changed a bit, but I honestly think that's just nitpicking. I think the first 2 episodes did a really good job, and I hope they, continue doing it. I'm gonna say I'd probably give it about a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, that's exact. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. There are some moments of like actual horror, and it's like the first time I've been scared by something in a while. There's some really deep relationships here, some amazing performances, wonderful writing, beautiful score. There's really nothing more that I could ask for. And this series itself, we'll see from the other 8 episodes, but it's really shaping up to be at a 10 out of 10. And with that, we'll see you next time.